As some students left the streets to return to school, family, or job, new demonstrators arrived every day from all over China, some seeking revolution, others wanting to be part of the excitement, part of history, others because they just wanted to meet girls. On May 27th, some of the student leaders had received word that another PLA invasion force was being readied, and this time they would use deadly force. Some of the student leaders proposed they declare victory and end the demonstrations on May 30th. They were shouted down. The student leadership was divided, with different groups competing against one another and accusing one another. Some were calling for revolution, a fight to the death. On May 29th, students at the Central Academy of Fine Arts unveiled a statue they had been working on for days. It was the goddess of democracy, the ultimate symbol of the thirst and hunger for freedom. Many thought the students had modeled the goddess after the Statue of Liberty, which stands in New York Harbor. However, the artist claimed she was based on the figure of a Chinese peasant leaning on a wooden staff, holding a torch of freedom. However, from the view of China's leaders, the statue was an obvious symbol of the United States and its democratic principles of equality and democracy. Towering above the crowd, they faced the goddess of freedom, so she stared directly into the face of Mao, the ultimate symbol of defiance and a direct challenge to the Communist Party and the Chinese government. The government and its media responded with hysterical outrage. Government loudspeakers began demanding that the goddess be taken down, that her presence was intolerable. Instead, the students and the citizens of Beijing crowded the streets to show their support for the democracy movement. Premier Li Peng, President Yang, and senior leader Deng Xiaoping and their supporters in the communist hierarchy were horrified and enraged. After repeated humiliations and the purging of all army commanders and generals who did not agree with his aims, Deng was now fully prepared to crush the student democracy movement once and for all. Student leaders would be beaten and arrested, and their supporters terrorized and murdered. The citizens of Beijing and China would be taught to fear the power of the communist government and to forever obey. As the People's Liberation Army again began its attack on the city of Beijing,